Back to our final interview for today with the 2016 Veterans in Politics International Canada interviews. For our final interview, we'll be interviewing Mr. Blain Jones, candidate for the Nevada State Assembly in District 21. Mr. Jones, if you could tell us a little bit about geographically where your district is, and then briefly introduce yourself, please.
Sure. So my district is in western Henderson. It starts about Green Valley Parkway west, and it goes all the way through the 215 and Silverado Ranch, Green Valley area. Again, my name is Blain Jones, running for District 21, and my background is in business management, Real Water. We're a local Las Vegas company. The corporate office here is a national brand, and for the last 7 years I've been doing mostly operations, everything from accounting to actual production of product, to marketing even, sales. So I have definitely a big experience in what a company does, what it takes to pay the bills, employ people, dealing with organizationally how to get things done. And if anybody looks into my company's background, you can see that we've been very fortunate and grown in the last few years. So decided to run for office because I saw that my opponent through the last session, we passed the largest tax increase in Nevada's state history of $1.4 billion based on the projections. And not only that, but he campaigned on not raising taxes. So when he got up there, he was the chair of taxation and got it through. To me, that was disgusting. And I thought, I can't have people that are going to tell me one thing and go up there and do another, representing me. And that's the main reason why I decided to run for office.
Thank you very much. We're going to start with Ms. Levy right now.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, you're very young. And what I would like to ask you is, what are your thoughts on the legalization and the taxation of recreational marijuana?
It's a little bit of a different question because when I think of it, I think obviously we have the medical purposes for it. And I do believe that there are some benefits in using it medically. However, recreationally, I don't believe that it's something that should be allowed. However, if it does go to a vote and it is found that the majority of people of constituents, should I be in office, wish that to be, then it's my job as a representative of those people to agree with those people. And that's my stance.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jones.
Hi, Blain. Oops, turned it off.
Thank you, Manji. My name is Scott Lafada, and I'm with Citizens for a Better America. This is kind of a broad-based question, but how would you plan to fix Nevada's education system?
Well, there's a couple different things that I would like to see happen. First off, Common Core needs to go. And I think anybody that looks into that and sees the curriculum understands quickly that it's just completely terrible. It's a way that, honestly, I feel like it's something that's been implemented to make students and children dumber and worse, not educate them and make them better. So that needs to go. The other thing that I really believe in is the ESA program. And I know that was actually passed and gone into effect, however it's been held up in courts for the time being. I really believe in that. If we bring some free market principles to the educational system here in our state, I think it will, the cream rises to the top when there's competition and free market. People are forced to do better and to, make what they're doing a better choice. So I really believe in those two things, getting rid of Common Core and getting a more localized control of our education and being able to govern that on a local level and really put curriculum that's going to help and make students smarter instead of dumber, and the ESA program.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Blain, what's your educational background and why do you think that it's worthy of you being a representative of the people?
Well, my educational background is some college business administration. I did not finish my degree, however, the reason being I have a little bit of a different circumstance than most, I think. I started going into business with my father and quickly became very valuable in my efforts there. and made it hard where I was going to school full time and working full time, 40 hours a week as well. And it became hard for me to continue doing that. Like I said, I became very valuable. So when I wasn't there, things weren't going the way they needed to go. And at the time, and so I stopped going to college there. However, I do feel I bring an educational background, maybe not on a formal level as far as a college degree, but a very strong sense of organizational skills, being able to know, what it is and what it takes to provide, to be a productive member of society. For the last 7 years, I've been working with Grow Water, but I've had a job since I was 13 years old. I'll be 29 in May, and I bring a lot of real-world education, so to speak, to the table, and I feel like that gives me definitely some credit in being able to understand what things need to do to be changed and to make our state better.
Southern Nevada has a serious problem with inadequate resources for mental health treatment, not just for veterans, but for the public in general. What is your perspective on the mental health services, and what would you do to improve it?
Well, first off, I'd like to address part of what mental health goes into, and I feel like there's a culture within the mental health institution of our state, not only our state, but our nation, of just basically medicating and not really resolving the underlying issues that cause certain situations in a person to have those mental health problems. And I feel like too often people are just given a drug and asked to just mask the problem. So I think we really need to look at how we can handle those underlying issues and resolve the real problem instead of just give someone a drug and hope that they get better. Exactly how to go about doing that, we would have to do some research and look at it. But I do feel that, unfortunately, our medication and mental health systems right now are currently just doling out drugs a little bit too frequently and too much.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones, I'm kind of torn with you, man. I couldn't find you online anywhere. I mean, nothing. It was really weird because you're a millennial, so I would assume you'd be all over the place. So here's my thing. How are you going to appeal to millennials like me who want to vote for people that understand what we're going through? We fight the wars, we pay the taxes, we're involved in our republic, but if we can't find you, how do we relate to you? I mean, how do I vote for a guy I can't even find on Google?
Well, can I ask you, how did you look me up? Because I can do a quick Google search of my name and it comes up pretty easily. So how did you look?
Exactly how it's spelled.
Blain Jones on Google?
Blain K. Jones.
Blain K. Jones on Google?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, interesting because I can find it pretty easily. I've had some local press, Las Vegas Sun and the RJ and different things recently. But of course, I'm a new candidate. I haven't been out. My name isn't known, and that's part of what any new candidate faces. And one of the things that I'm doing, obviously, to get my name out there is I'm going to be doing what every other politician does, putting signs up, doing a lot of social media presence, walking door to door. I was just walking yesterday door to door, meeting voters and everything, and continuing to do all those things that a candidate does. But you're right, I am a new candidate, and I have to get my name out there, and that's part of what I need to do, and any new candidate needs to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Just a reminder, panelists, please be sure to just briefly identify yourself.
My name is Robert Faust. Thank you for showing up today, Mr. Jones.
Thank you for having me.
Where are you on campus carry permits and who should carry?
Campus carry permits. Can you elaborate a little bit about that issue so I can make sure I understand fully what your question is?
Well, it's pretty simple. Do you think people should carry guns on school campuses, which is state property?
I don't believe that students should be people of authority as far as police officers. That's their job to protect, and they can't do that job unless they have the proper equipment to do so. So in regards to that, I do believe that police officers and people of that authority that have gone through whatever process it needs to be in their given situation to earn the right to have that equipment on their person, they should be able to have that.
If you're elected to the state assembly, what would you do to help veterans here that are homeless, that are going through issues, employment, veterans courts? What would you do specifically to help veterans?
Well, I do feel that the veterans should have their own court system because they have a little bit different of a circumstance than the average person that's on the street. You know, they sacrifice their time and put a lot of effort into making us be able to have the freedoms that we have, making this country great, and that's something that should be rewarded and should be understood and should be acknowledged. I do believe that there should be some sort of incentive program for finding employment for veterans. I know when I go through the hiring process for my own company, if I see that someone's a veteran, I tend to let that be a positive thing that I look at and that is a pro on when I'm weighing out the potential candidates for my employment. And I think there should be some sort of incentive program for employers when they do hire a veteran that it's their benefit.
Hi, Mr. Jones. I live in your district, by the way.
Oh.
You said Green Valley, right?
Green Valley, yes.
Okay. Will you vote your conscience or will you vote the will of the people in your district?
That's a hard question to answer because it's a very broad, general question. I would look at the specific issue, and depending on how I felt in that given issue, that would obviously weigh heavily in making my decision-making process. However, I can't negate the fact that I am there representing the people of my district or of my constituents, and I have to take both into account. And so to be able to answer your question, I would have to be given a specific issue and be able to see what that is instead of just a generalized, blanket statement. But I would look at both of the different options that you said, and I would weigh those based on that specific issue. Hopefully that answers your question in some way.
Good day, Mr. Jones. Jameson Ainer. Saying that you and your father have obviously built a great brand in a very competitive market.
Thank you.
What type of programs will you create if elected for veterans to follow that same entrepreneurial spirit?
There's different ways. Obviously, we can get into grants and different things like that, but I would really like to see what has been proposed in the past. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have those facts and figures and different things in front of me right now or on top of my head, but I would love to see what has been proposed in the past, see how workable those things would be, and then be able to get behind one of those, or if I had a better idea of how to implement one of those proposed ways, make the changes that I see that could make it easier from my personal experience with being in the field of being an entrepreneur, and do what I can to make it easier and better, and so that we can all grow as an economy and particularly the veterans.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Ms. Steelman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. Thank you for being here today. My name is Karen Stillman. I'm the Auxiliary Director with Veterans in Politics International. And I'm going to kind of piggyback off on a couple of other questions that had already been asked you. I'm going to kind of allow you a minute to elaborate.
Sure.
You mentioned once that, several times actually, that you would vote according to what your constituents wanted. But I would like your take on the Constitution. What if your constituents want you to vote in a way that opposes the Constitution? How would you deal with that kind of situation?
Absolutely not. I mean, the Constitution is there for a reason, to give us and allow us the ability to, as a state and even on a more general, as a nation, succeed. And I do not believe that we should go and changing things just because there's a new fad or a new idea that maybe this might work. So I do strongly believe in the Constitution, and I believe that we should leave it as it is, and it's worked for us for a very long time, and we should continue to allow it to work for us moving forward.
So could I safely assume that if your constituents wanted you to vote for more gun control or abolishing the Second Amendment, you would vote no against your constituents?
I would vote no on that, and that gets into the question I was asked before. I would have to look at that specific issue, and that specific issue, if all my constituents said, if it was 100%, I still, unfortunately, on that issue would say no. I feel that the Second Amendment is a very needed thing for our society, and it's the only way we can keep ourselves safe from different threats.
Thank you.
All right, well, we're doing pretty well on time, so let's bring it back around to the beginning again. Ms. Libby, back to you.
Thank you. I guess I have to come up with another question. Well, first of all, I would like to ask, how old you are.
I'm 28.
28?
I'm 29
You look
next
like
month.
a lot younger than that. Secondly,
Well, it's the good real water.
Yeah, thanks, Kat. I'm just old. Thank you for the water. I live in your dad's district, actually. And my question is, should your dad be reelected and you are reelected and you're sitting in the assembly with him, are you going to look to him for guidance? Do you agree with him on all the issues? If there's a close vote and your dad votes one way, would you feel comfortable voting the other?
You know, I've had a couple of different people and different viewpoints on my father being in politics as well. And I view it as a complete benefit because not only do I have someone that I can get guidance from, but I have somebody that I can trust. You know, we all need mentors. We all need people that have experience to be able to help us guide through certain pitfalls and everything in life and in politics and in everything. And I feel like I have someone in my father that I can trust. I've known him all my life, obviously. And, yeah. And you know, I feel like I have a benefit in that because I can trust him. But we do have, I think, a relationship where we have a mutual respect for each other. And if it did come down to it, where I believe strongly enough against what he believed, I would feel comfortable voting the opposite way of him. However, with that, I would say that I do share very similar views in the way he does. And you know, that's part of what we're trying to do, and not only with the relationship between me and him, but with our majority project and having a number of candidates throughout the Nevada legislature, so we can try and regain control and actually help the Nevada with doing things that you know, have the beliefs of I feel a lot of the people in the panel and us.
Okay, I'm a liberal Democrat, so I don't share those beliefs, but thank you, I appreciate it.
Hey Blaine, this is Scott LaFata again. This question is actually from a college class at CSN that Fred teaches, and he asks his students to come up with some questions. This is a really important one for me, as I'm also with Conservatives for Energy Freedom. And their question is, will you promise to break Nevada Energy's monopoly?
Break, you said?
Yes, break Nevada Energy's monopoly. If you need to ask a couple more questions on it, of what it means, then go ahead.
No, I feel like I have definitely enough understanding to answer that. Again, I go back to my strong belief in free market principles. And anytime you have a monopoly and you don't have any competition, there's going to be inefficiencies and you know, higher prices for goods and services. And I will do anything and everything that I can to bring free market principles into that area of our state and allow those free market principles to prove out and make things more efficient, get better goods and services for a lower price. Thank you. If there is something. However, I do believe that in removing regulation, cutting through the inefficiencies of government-run programs and different things, we can find areas to cut and be able to balance that budget without a tax.
The 2015 legislature passed a bill requiring the Clark County School District to be broken up. How do you feel about that? And do you think it's a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it's a good idea. I think the Clark County School District is one of the largest school districts in our country. And when you have a large government-run organization like that, it's my belief that there are a lot of inefficiencies and a lot of bureaucrats, for lack of a better term, telling how things should be and not really knowing how it actually is down on the ground or down in that school or in that area. And I do believe that it should be broken up so it's more localized. It's better ran from people that have a better idea of specifically what's going on in that given area.
Tipitar again. So here's my question for you. Your dad's in office, you're running for office, you know, that's all great. Me and you align politically, but here's my thing. given the anti-sentiment of dynasties and politics, how are you just not under the bush? I mean, how are voters supposed to look at you and say, well, obviously, his dad's in power, he's in power, there's another family coming up the ranks?
Well, you can quickly answer that question by looking at my father's voting record and then looking at my voting record should I go into office. He didn't, my father did not go as business as usual when he was up there. We didn't make a lot of friends when he was up there. A lot of people didn't like the way he voted, particularly on the taxes and some other issues. So that quickly answers that question because we're not a group of people that are going up there to take advantage of the people that we're serving. We're going up there to be a true representative of what the people want and need to be a better state, a better economy.
Thank you.
Blain, Robert Faust. Would you vote to defund Planned Parenthood?
I would. I would have to agree, yes, to that.
I'm not sure if you've seen in the news that several American corporations are threatening or are boycotting North Carolina, Mississippi for their laws they've written to basically block transgender people from using female bathrooms. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, that was something that came up in the last legislation even for our own state, that issue. I believe strongly in, I believe people should be allowed to do what they wish to do. However, when it comes into infringing upon the rights of others, there has to be a line that's drawn. And I don't believe that allowing somebody that for themselves believes that they are of a different gender to go into that different gender restroom facilities and infringe upon the rights of security and safety and just feeling like someone else that's going in there is in a safe place, which they should be when they go into a restroom. So I do not believe that someone that feels that they are of a different gender should be allowed to go in that different gender's bathroom.
Rowan Curvington here. What is your opinion regarding healthcare in our state?
I think that the Silver State Exchange needs to be gotten rid of, and I think that it is a complete disaster. I think that we need to introduce more free market principles into that, and I do believe that in doing that we will get a better service, goods and services for a lower price when you institute free market principles.
Jameson again. Mr. Jones, what do you consider the most significant area of corruption in our state, and what would you be willing to do to address that if elected office?
Well, I can definitely point to a couple examples. One of the examples that I brought up before was the tax that passed in the last legislative session. The people that were exempt, gaming and mining, the two largest industries in our state. And if that's not crony capitalism and corruption, I don't know what is. And I strongly believe that we need to repeal that, and that needs to be gotten rid of. I also believe that even on a smaller level, my district, the incumbent, my opponent, Republican opponent in the primary, again, campaigned on not raising taxes, made a lot of promises, and then when he got up into office, not only was he just a member of the assembly body, but he was the chair of taxation and voted yes on the taxes. So I believe that we need to have people in office that have integrity, that are willing to live up to what they promise their constituents, live up to what they say to get someone's vote, and then when they're actually in office, do what they say they're willing to do.
Ms. Stillman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. Karen again.
Hello.
I would like you to address, if you could, the land rights issue in Nevada, specifically as it deals with the Bundy family issue, the range fees and all of that. And could you give us your take on land ownership, federal versus state versus public?
When you say public, did you mean private? Because you did list state and federal.
Well, no, because when the federal government assumes that it has ownership, we assume that means public, they assume that means federal ownership.
Well, there obviously has to be an understanding of when we say public land, who it's owned by, the state or the federal government. You know, I think that what happened with the Bundys and their ranch and their cattle was a complete overstepping of the federal and state governments, and they were completely in the right. Okay, you know, their cattle happened to wander on some public land to drink and feed. You know, it's a complete overuse of the power of the federal government and the state government, and I believe that shouldn't have happened, and a great example of the inefficiency and complete crony capitalism and things that we need to get rid of in our government. And that's what I hope to achieve by going up there. And
Well, in actuality, your answer is an illustration of what I was trying to point out.
Okay.
You said that the cattle wandered onto public land. If it's public land, then what's the trespass? If the Bundy family are a member of the public,
sure.
and the public is supposed to be able to use our land, then, again, I would like you to illustrate your beliefs between federal ownership, state ownership, and public ownership. We're the public.
Okay, I understand. I understand what you're trying to ask.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, if it's public land, we are the public, obviously. You know, we are the people that we make up the state in this country, and if it's public land, we should be able to use it because it's our land. Yeah, I'm sorry for my misunderstanding of your question before, but no, I believe strongly that if it's public land, we should be able to use it because we are the public.
Okay, so now that we've established that.
Excuse me, we're getting a little bit into crosstalk here, so I'm going to bring this back around again.
I'm trying to clarify the understanding of what we're talking about.
I'll one more.
Okay, so if the land is not owned privately by an individual, who should it be owned by? Public, us, state, or federal?
Us, the public.
Okay, thank you.
We are down to just about the wire here. I want to thank everyone for their participation today. Let's give a big hand for Mr. Jones for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
My thanks to all the panel members. You'll shortly be going into executive session to discuss. My thanks to Steve Sanson, the president of Veterans in Politics International, for allowing me to moderate today. And my strong encouragement to everyone watching this, vote. Do not stay home. Thank you.